Welcome to The Complete Teacher, 101 meaningful, bite-sized professional development lessons, each coming with thought-provoking titles, relevant, inspiring quotes, helpful text with anecdotes, data, and wisdom, and action steps. Lesson 10, Tips to Transcend Classroom Management Issues. Teach students how to do things right. Don't just establish consequences for doing them wrong. That's from Doug Lemov. Being an effective manager of your classroom means having student behavior in check, but it doesn't necessarily mean being a harsh disciplinarian. Depending on the discipline policy at your school, you could go an entire school year without handing out so much as a detention. Don't get me wrong, there are behaviors that warrant appropriate consequences. However, if you implement other management practices in your classroom, you may not have to go there with your students very often. Here are 5 proven approaches to classroom management that don't focus on being strict or dishing out discipline. These approaches aren't about a teacher's response to questionable student behavior, but rather they aim to transcend the problem by nipping it in the bud. First one, showing respect to your students is good classroom management. This is even true when they don't deserve it. In fact, it is especially true when they don't deserve it. Most students will naturally respect you in return. Keeping in mind that students can come into my classroom with all sorts of baggage, I have encountered insolence with patience on a number of occasions. For the sass and attitude that may come your way, you can remind these students that you will always be fair and kind and respectful to them. Your students won't always be motivated to behave because of school or classroom rules. They will behave because of you, a teacher who loves, cares for, and treats them with respect. Second, holding students accountable is good classroom management. There's an old saying that teachers should not smile until Thanksgiving. That's pure baloney. But it is true that you should not let behaviors go unaddressed. This doesn't always mean consequences, but it could mean losing privileges or talking with a student after others dismiss. As far as student accountability goes, do it early and often. Be firm and fair. Otherwise, your warnings will not hold any weight, unintentionally training students that actually certain behaviors are accepted. As a result, you will then spend a great deal of energy throughout the year trying to correct it. Number 3, getting parents on board is good classroom management. Schools can't rely on all parents to raise upstanding citizens, nor can parents solely rely on schools to meet their children's every academic need. Remember that it takes a village to raise a child, and parents are arguably the main part of the village team. If an old-fashioned consequence doesn't do the trick to correct behavior, like detention or sitting out of activities, losing recess, communicating with parents often will. When parents are aware of behavioral concerns, they have the opportunity to help you by holding their children accountable at home with incentives, loss of privileges, etc. Parents can help. Communicate with them. Fourth, having routines and consistency is good classroom management. If students know what to expect at certain times of the day, what is expected during transitions, or what to do next when they finish a task, you're less likely to have to address poor behavior. Also, stand still and wait for attention before talking, otherwise you send a message that your words aren't important, not even to you. Fifth and finally, have a well-planned lesson. That is good classroom management. If your lessons are sufficiently engaging and relevant, you're less likely to experience students acting out. If students are having fun, being challenged, or both, they won't have time to engage in or even think about off-task behavior. Respect, accountability, parent awareness, routines, and engaging lessons will mean that discipline episodes will be fewer and further between. Classroom management is a necessary element to minimize distractions and to allow learning to occur. Of course, you may need to lay down the law from time to time. Nonetheless, you will have made discipline an ancillary issue, not the main issue. Action steps. Examine your approach to classroom rules. Do you teach students to do what is right, or establish consequences for when they do something wrong? How would your students answer this question? Without considering traditional discipline, can you improve your classroom management this year with one of these 5 ideas? Need a copy of all the Complete Teacher lessons on slides? Looking for an e-reader or physical copy of the Complete Teacher? Want to browse thousands of other top-rated engaging resources? Check out the links below.